Hello, this is Matt Charboneau with the Detroit News, along with my colleague John Niyo, to talk about Michigan State's upcoming Outback Bowl appearance against Georgia on January 2nd in Tampa. Obviously, this team has talked from last winter through the summer into the spring about the Rose Bowl. It's kind of been their goal last year. Obviously, they didn't get it. When Ohio State got the BCS bid that they didn't get, Wisconsin got in with the whole tiebreaker thing. So it was really big for them this year. Winning that Legends division was a big step for them. And I tell you what, to lose the championship game the way they did, it was really difficult for them. They kind of knew what was going to happen going into it. A loss there was not going to get you a BCS game, but everything for this team was Rose Bowl, Rose Bowl. So
it wasn't all or nothing kind of. I mean, they didn't hide from that it was. That was the end goal,
yeah.
Regardless, from the T-shirts from the beginning of the season, and everything else. So the question is, I guess, what do they have left to play for? Is probably the obvious one. They haven't won a bowl game in a decade.
In fact, it was 2000
since Bobby Williams,
yeah.
And so there is still now whether there's a motivation issue there, though, isn't there? I mean, how do you get those guys fired up?
There really isn't, and for a guy like Mark D'Antonio, who's done so much since he's come here in this fifth year now, I mean, has taken this team from really mediocre at best to now really a consistent kind of contender in that conference. There's one thing he hasn't done yet is win a bowl game. In fact, obviously everyone remembers the Alabama game last year.
I mean, I just struggle to remember. I mean, it was the Silicon Valley Bowl, right?
Yeah, it was 0-1. You had T.J. and Charles Rogers and Smith. It's been a while. So, but for this team, for this coaching staff specifically, I mean, it's something they haven't been able to do. They had some close losses early on, and then obviously last year the blowout. So, for the program as a whole, you can still gain something by winning. So you're playing a decent team, an SEC team that I think they match up well with, and it can create a lot of momentum moving into next year. It's not exactly what they wanted, but there's a lot you can build from on it.
I think if they're still searching for some motivation too, I mean, the fact that the way last year's ended, an SEC team, obviously a better SEC team, much better SEC team, but the way they got manhandled last year, I think left an awful taste in everybody's mouth. They don't want that to happen again. Another senior class to go out like that.
Yeah, and having said that, I don't think a close showing is really going to make them a whole lot happier. No. But I think what that did last year was they had in their mind, hey, we went 11-1, shared a conference title. We're back, we've arrived, and that was kind of a reality check of, well, maybe you have in the Big Ten, but nationally you got a long way to go. So I think they will have that kind of in the back of their mind. This is a chance to redeem themselves a bit. Obviously, it's not same caliber team, but you still are talking about a decent SEC team that if they can come out with a win,
an SEC team too that after losing to Boise at the start of the season rattled off 10 in a row,
10 wins in a row, yeah,
and played gamely for a while against LSU in the SEC title game. What do they have to do? I mean, what's that matchup look like? Where's the scary part of that matchup?
What's interesting for me in this one is, you looked at two Michigan State Wisconsin games and teams that were really close and really even. I think you're going to see a lot of the same things here. Georgia has some talented players, though not quite with the experience that Wisconsin had. They've got a decent quarterback. He's been a little bit erratic. He doesn't have a great completion percentage, but he's a kid who can make plays.
He sure looks like a gamer when you watch him play.
Sure. Yeah, and they've got some talented running backs, a freshman, who's been up and down, some injuries, but it's a team that can make plays, certainly. Michigan State's defense obviously has played far better than I think a lot of people expected this year. So, to me, it's one of those toss-up matchups right now that really could go either way. And, considering the way Michigan State, their offense really picked it up late in the year.
Right, really.
I think they'll score some points. I think, again, it's going to come down to really what won a lot of games for Michigan State
Cousins was really on fire at the end of the year. Cunningham, I think, is going out in style. I thought he should have been a first-team Big Ten guy myself. There's some questions, though, about who's coming back. I mean, obviously the seniors we know are leaving. Jarrell Worthy's a guy. Will he come back? Will he won't? There's lots of questions, I think, that still have to be answered for this team, even this winter, before we get to camp again next fall. But I think it's another good test, a chance for them to take one more step. It's not the step they wanted to take, but it's just another step to say, we have arrived, we are a national program, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's what they have left to play for. I don't know.
And I think they've got enough guys. Sure, they're losing Kirk Cousins, they're losing B.J. Cunningham, Keyshawn Martin, several of your skill players, possibly Jarrell Worthy on defense. Beyond that, maybe Trent Robinson.
That defense is coming back.
Yeah, you're returning 9 players at worst, starters on that defense. Most of your offensive line back, all of your running backs back. So yes, a win here would be big for the coaching staff and the program, but also a lot of these guys are going to still be around.
Yeah.
They'll have that as sort of a momentum builder.
And that's what D'Antonio's got to sell them on these last few weeks here before they play that game. So it should be interesting. It's another chance for them to make a statement.